Bang, bang, Southern Fried Gang. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As my phone rings, as we get ready to go live, we've got Chuck in the house. We've got Brian calling me. Who knows? Brian, if you're calling me, we're live. I'm wearing some Gamecock gear. Y'all can see the new Twitter handle at the bottom, covering everything Gamecock for GreenvilleSportsMedia.com. That's our new handle there. Don't forget, Sideline Sports Network. I'm going to be covering East Tennessee State for them there. My titles are getting way too long for me to remember, but you know what? You develop a habit, you get into it, you jive and flow. You do what you got to do what you got to do. And there's nothing more that describes me better than that. You do what you got to do to get by. We'll talk about that coming up on the show when we talk about some dirty C words. Y'all know I like my dirty C words. I have a new one that I'm going to add to it. Yes, indeedy. Y'all might want to stick around for that. We're going to talk some NASCAR. We've got tons of Gamecock stuff. Shout out to Beef and Rib, Arden's Burger and Grill, Hyundai of Anderson. If you go to any of those places and you say that the Southern Fried Gentleman, that's me. If you tell any of those places that you're going there and they sent you there, we sent you there, might get a little hookup, might get a little swag. Who knows? But we're going to lead it off with this, ladies and gentlemen, on the show this evening. My wife's coming up soon. She's going to have to take a flight to the Northeast. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, why is that a big deal? Well, first of all, I have only flown one time in my life. Once. If you count the whole trip. Now, I did board, I think, a total of 4 airplanes. And I'm still here, so everything's still safe. But even just today, we saw a plane going from Atlanta to Columbia, had to turn around because of smoke and stuff in the cockpit. Like, can we figure out what's going on with airplanes, y'all? Please. We went 24 years, and in the last month, we've seen the helicopter and airplane collide with one another. We've seen the medical flight from Philadelphia crash landing, sending what looked to be rockets all over the place. We've seen Alaska. We saw the BYU men's basketball team almost get taken out, which thank goodness, because they beat the brakes off of Kansas the other day. And they had an epic game with Arizona in overtime where some of the fans were, I think, chanting, "Bleep you Mormons." I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I saw something like that. Not a good look, especially when you lose a game. Like, come on, we can be better than chanting a dirty 4-letter word that starts with F. Not going to say it, obviously, but wow. Come on. We're better than that, people. We're better than that. But yeah, the airplane thing. Oh, it scares me, man. We're literally about to book her a flight. I mean, I don't even know what's safe now. American Airlines, Delta, Spirit. Spirit, I think, is the only one that hasn't had a plane crash. So who's best at flying an airplane right now? Gamecock Chuck says none of them are, because the pilots are vaping. Mark Livingston, I bet you know something about vaping. Oh, man. Inside joke, Mark. Got you. Hope you listening, buddy. Brian is here. No one should book a flight. No one is safe, says Brian. And Mark, yep, he's here. He got it. All the pilots are vaping. But no, seriously, y'all. Like, I'm really concerned about airplanes. And it'll come up in a minute. NASCAR, Carson Hocevar. I saw him. He was getting into a private plane, and he is like the lowliest of low-level NASCAR drivers. Like, everybody was waiting to beat him up yesterday. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But airplanes, oh, man. They scare the bejeebies out of me right now. I do not know how I feel about my wife taking a flight. She's going to do it. I know she is. And can't say I'm not worried about it. Airplanes right now, y'all. Can we get it under control? We've seen way too much airplane stuff. And like I said, that one from Atlanta today was flying to Columbia. Hopefully it didn't have any Gamecock fans on it. Coming down for what is Rivalry weekend, ladies and gentlemen. We call that a segue in this business. Y'all like that? Flying down to Columbia? Man, first of all, we're going to have to start off in Clemson and Greenville for what is rivalry week between the Gamecocks and the Clemson Tigers. And I got to admit, this might be one of the most anticipated baseball matchups between Clemson and South Carolina for quite some time. Let's start off by saying this. Clemson has played way better competition than the Gamecocks. Period. End of discussion. As far as that goes. However, the Gamecocks have straight handled their business in these first few games. Of course, they have one more coming up against Gardner-Webb first. But Palmetto has these dudes playing baseball the way it should be played, in my opinion. They are making outstanding defensive plays. You got dudes, they're hitting home runs. Not only are they hitting home runs, they're hitting for average. And so I wanted to bring you guys some stats, and then we'll give some predictions on what could happen between this Palmetto State rivalry. Can't call it the Palmetto Bowl because this isn't football, but it is part of the Palmetto series. And it's a big deal. I don't care what any of you guys say. Yes, Clemson right now better than us in baseball. However, this is the perfect spot for South Carolina and Palmetto to be able to prove that they're doing what needs to be done in Columbia. They've got a team. They've got a roster. I'll give you my prediction on the game here in a moment. But I wanted to go through some of the stats here, y'all. And like I said, South Carolina has not played near the competition yet that Clemson has. But we've got Ethan Petrie, 444 batting average, all 8 games played. Got 12 hits, 27 at bats, 3 doubles, 2 home runs, a triple, 9 RBI. And, I mean, the dude's hitting lights out so far. Hopefully he will continue to do that for the Gamecocks. You got Nathan Hall, for the Gamecocks. 423, 8 of 8 games played, 11 hits and 26 at bats, 9 runs. And that's also the one thing that stands out to me about these two guys, y'all, is not only are they getting on base, driving in runs. Hall has scored 9 runs out of his 11 hits, and Petrie has scored 9 runs off of his 12 hits. It's 75% of the time. Just a touch less. I'm not going to do the exact math for you because I don't feel like it, but I could. It's probably like 71% if you combine their numbers. 18 runs scored on 23 hits. That is a outstanding clip. And then you saw Jace Wota. Wota? W-O-I-T-A? You know, I ask you guys all the time. How do you pronounce that name? Wota? Wota? Because Wota, did y'all see the home run that dude hit the other night? Hit a scud. A rocket. Jace did for the Gamecocks. And so I've paid attention to the, what they're doing, how they're looking. Overall, their statistics look good. They're hitting the ball. They're pitching well. I know for a fact that they had 45 innings pitched, like 15 strikeouts, and only like 1 or 2 walks when I saw it one time. So you're averaging strikeout per inning. Only a walk every 3 innings. So guess what the key to baseball is, ladies and gentlemen? And if anybody should know, it's me. Number 1, you got to throw strikes. Let the defense play behind you. Let them make the plays. You're not going to be able to go up there and dust everybody with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. No. You got to be able to locate. You got to be able to move the ball around a little bit. You got to be able to throw a changeup. Got to be able to throw a curveball. You're not just going to go up there and blow everybody away. And so that, to me, is why this series between Clemson and South Carolina is so interesting. Because we're going to get good on good. We're going to see where the Gamecocks can stack up against some of the best competition in the land in Clemson baseball. Pains me to say that, but Eric Bakich and those dudes, man, they're coming down from Michigan. Eric Bakich, he brought the smoke from Michigan when he came down to play. And I mean, as you can continue to go down the line, though, for the Gamecocks statistics. Ba-dee. That's all, folks. Good night. No, I'm just kidding. Statistics. You've got KJ Scobie batting .261, 8 games played. Kennedy Jones, he hit a monster home run. Also, there's going to be more people out there in the outfield for the Gamecocks when they're in Columbia to catch home runs, because Jeremiah Donati, he saw that the fans were clamoring that the Gamecocks in Founders Park was supposedly sold out. Apparently that was not the case. Just seats were sold out. They have added in like another couple hundred fans for the Gamecocks to have at Founders Park when they play Clemson in Columbia on Sunday. So the game will be Clemson on Friday, Fluor Field, Greenville, South Carolina on Saturday, and then they're going to go finish it off in Columbia. As far as my prediction goes, I think I told everybody the other day, Clemson should and I think will win this series 2-1. However, What I will say is they better not let the Gamecocks beat them at home or in Greenville. Because if they're going back to Columbia with it 1-1, knowing all the fans are going to be there, the way that the Gamecocks have played so far, it would not shock me one bit if the Gamecocks weren't able to win that series. If they have it 1-1, so they got to go win at Clemson or in Greenville. Both games kind of, on the road. They call Greenville, South Carolina a neutral site. I live in Greenville, South Carolina. I can assure you there are more Clemson fans in the upstate than Gamecock fans. That I promise you. Clemson, it's just the cool thing to do here in the upstate South Carolina. Root for Clemson, especially over the last few years. So speaking of Clemson, though, and I was talking about their stats, I was talking about the Gamecock stats. Here are some Clemson stats for you. We've got Leasty Dominique batting .435, 10 out of 23 hits versus at-bats, 11 RBI. You got Josh Pino batting .304, Jacob Jarrell .294. And then you come down to some of the other part-time guys. You got Tristan McClady. He's only played 5 games, but batting .389. Jack Croyton only played 5 games, started in 3, batting .364. But when you come down to the pitching, you've got 2 pitchers that are 1-0. One has a 1.80 ERA, Ethan Darden. 10 innings pitched, only 8 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts. And that was why I was talking about what I was talking about. I told you I'd give you my honest take. The Gamecocks have a chance to win this series. Clemson, though, they have just as much to prove. And I saw someone earlier said, this series is meaningless. This is not a litmus test for Clemson. And I agree with the second part. No, it's not a litmus test for Clemson. It's a litmus test for the Gamecocks and Paul Mainieri in year 1 to see if this team can develop consistency. Another dirty C word added to the list on Southern Fried Sports. I got them. Chemistry, culture, competition, camaraderie, creativity. Add consistency to that list, and that's something that the Gamecocks lacked under Mark Kingston. They were never consistent. So while this may not be a litmus test for Clemson, it 100% is a litmus test for the South Carolina Gamecocks to see where they stack up in year numero uno under Paul Mainieri. I'll be tuned in. I don't know about you guys. I'll be dialed in this weekend to South Carolina and Clemson baseball. Speaking of dialing into things, let's dial into a few of these comments that you guys got going. Gamecock Chuck, excuse me. If it's your time, doesn't matter if you're flying, driving, walking. Yep. Sometimes, Chuck. You're right, man. Good perspective. I still don't feel any better about my wife flying, though. Keep it up, though. You might make me happy about it in a little bit. We'll see. Mark and Brian over here chatting it up. Gamecock Chuck, nothing cool about rooting for Clemson. Hey, tell everybody that lives in the upstate South Carolina. Even me down there in Clinton, man. Literally, Clinton is dead center. Columbia, Greenville. More Clemson fans than Gamecock fans in Clinton, South Carolina. Put money on it right now. Mark says he's got SC winning the series 2-1. Like I said, in order for that to happen, it has to be 1-1 going to Columbia on Sunday. Gotta be. Got to be. If not, I mean, Clemson could very well win the first 2 games. And still the Gamecocks could win that one in Columbia. I don't know. I think it's going to be daggum good baseball. Regardless. This rivalry, to me, regardless of where Clemson and South Carolina are ranked in baseball, it's one of the best rivalries around. I mean, name them, y'all. Name them. And I bet you money Clemson and Gamecocks come in the top 5 of rivalries. In the nation. In the country. In baseball, football, basketball. Whatever you want to say. I guarantee you, you cannot get past number 3 or 4 before you have to mention the Palmetto series and the Gamecocks and Clemson Tigers. We can even try it right now. Okay, Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma, Gamecocks, Clemson. Who would we put above them right there? Florida, Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Kentucky, Louisville. But as far as like, not these conference rivals, not like Georgia, Auburn, Georgia, Florida. Talking about just true, who is your most biggest rival? I guarantee you Clemson and South Carolina has to be top 4 in many of those categories. Chuck, Yale, Harvard, yeah, they're up there. I don't know if I could put them in the top 5. But as far as level of competition goes, they could be up there for sure. Army, Navy, of course. Army, Navy, of course. Fantastic rivalry. And so, yeah, I am absolutely jacked up. Hey, we got a new person in the house. Mickey. Hey, buddy. Appreciate you being here. Mickey, who is your biggest college rivalry? And if you want to give me 3, Mickey. I just said Auburn, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, Michigan, Ohio State, and then the Gamecocks and Clemson. They got to be somewhere coming up close to that range. Right? And so I'm super amped for this baseball weekend. Y'all, we've got Furman and Citadel coming up Wednesday. Oh, man, just another big week on Southern Fried Sports. I got Furman Citadel rivalry. My wife's uncles went to the Citadel from down there in Charleston. That's where I met my wife, literally across the harbor from Citadel. And so we've got them coming up. Wow. What a week. Gamecocks, Clemson, though. Clemson, I think, wins the series 2-1. And y'all, we just added a dirty C word to my dirty C words on Southern Fried Sports. Consistency. We're going to talk about another one coming up here in just a moment. It is going to be competition. Y'all hang tight. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Oh, we got P Digits popping up in here. Good evening to you, sir. I just gave my prediction, P Digits, about South Carolina and Clemson, man. You just missed all of the best South Carolina and Clemson talk, P Digits, because you were late. Come on, bro. Golly, man. I try to tailor the content to appease the listeners. And then here you are showing up late, P Digits. I mean, come on, bro. You killing me, man. You straight killing me, P Digits. Gamecock Chuck will have to fill me in. Boy, get out of here, Chuck. My man, hey, first of all, I have never talked to P Digits about coming to live or stay in his basement for an evening. And second of all, I've never asked P Digits if he wanted to meet up and grab some dinner sometime. So, Chuck, I'm always excited about you. You're the man. Family first, I'll never apologize. Facts. Straight facts, P Digits. We were just, as a matter of fact, I talked about my wife. She's going on an airplane flight in a couple of months, man. And I'm nervous. I am worried about her getting on an airplane. So, yeah. Y'all keep me in your thoughts and prayers. And you should never apologize about putting family first. That's how I'm able to come do this show. I get my dinner and everything done for my two kids, which, by the way, Trip got his first baseball practice coming up Friday, 6 p.m. Can't wait for that. So even more things for me to be excited about on Southern Fried Sports. So we've got Gamecock men got their first win for the basketball year. We got Furman Citadel Wednesday. Got the Gamecock women. They won against Vanderbilt. Texas up to number 1. Wow. Shocker. Got Tripp's first baseball practice. And Clemson and South Carolina is going to be playing at the same time. So, what should I pay more attention to, you guys? Should I pay more attention to Tripp's first practice? Or should I be tuned in to the Gamecocks and Clemson game? I just told y'all how excited I was about it. Golly, I got to tune in to Tripp's practice. I'll have to record the game. I don't know, man. That's tough. That's tough, y'all. Watch my 5-year-old play baseball for the first time. Or tune in to the first ever Clemson Gamecock series with Paul Maneri as the head baseball coach for the Gamecocks. Like you said, P Digits, family first, and I'll never apologize for that. Facts, brother. Facts. Facts. Everybody, yep, first practice, no question. Pensman, your son. Gamecock Chuck, your son. Absolutely. That is absolutely what matters. And that's, man, y'all are awesome. That's why I tell y'all that all the time, man. Y'all are awesome. Because not only are y'all just good men, you got great sports takes, you got great advice, and I think we're having a great time on Southern Fried Sports this evening. Again, don't forget the sponsors. Don't forget W Energy. And let's talk about something else that's near and dear to my heart. NASCAR. You know, I got to give you a little NASCAR take about the race in Atlanta yesterday. It was a good race. But NASCAR found themselves in the issue again, though, of dirty C word alert, being consistent. What did I just say a minute ago about the Gamecocks baseball team? I want to see consistency. That's a dirty C word. And yet NASCAR finds themselves doing it again. The caution flag was thrown. I get it. You want to keep the drivers safe. There's got to be a way to figure out, though, how to let these guys finish this race. Because I told you guys just a few weeks ago, NASCAR had an epic finish at Atlanta last year between Suarez, Blaney, and Busch. 0.007 seconds. And NASCAR was set up to do it again between Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and Carson Hocevar. Which, by the way, whoever did the sports updates for CBS today, they kept calling him Hocevar. Hocevar. And I ask you guys all the time about how to pronounce names. But there is one thing I am sure of. And that is you pronounce Carson Hocevar. Carson Hocevar. But yeah, somebody kept calling him Hocevar today. And NASCAR robbed themselves of a fantastic 3-wide finish between Larson and Bell and Hocevar. I can't even say it now. Hocevar. Carson Hocevar. Words are hard, man. Y'all leave me alone. Not only did that happen, though, Chase Elliott, the hometown NASCAR's most favorite driver, whatever good luck charm he used to have is gone. He no longer has that lucky horseshoe where he won that race on fuel at Watkins Glen, his first ever win, and 7-time champion Jimmy Johnson pushed him back to the pits. Whatever good luck charm that Chase Elliott used to have is gone. All of the mayhem finds him. He still finds himself in the front, leading laps. But for whatever reason, he finds himself in trouble. Way too much. And there's a YouTube short up about it on my channel. You can go back and look at the wreck. Chase Elliott was in a wreck. I mean, Ryan Blaney, he even wrecked and still ended up with a good finish. But speaking of being consistent, is there a such thing in NASCAR as being too over-aggressive? Because I found it really rich, really interesting that Ross Chastain, someone who did the Hell Melon a few years ago at Martinsville, where he put his foot all the way down on the gas and drove it around the wall to gain 2 spots to advance to the Final Four. Some would say that's over-aggressive, Ross. Yet he was one of the first ones lined up to tell Carson Hocevar that he was driving too aggressive, maniacally. Kyle Busch called him a moron. Said he don't care if he wrecked the whole field, but he wanted to get to Carson. He wanted to wreck him. I just found it really rich that all of these guys who have been accused of being too aggressive in the past are trying to tell this guy not to be too aggressive. And I loved what Carson had to say, P. Digits. Listen to this. Carson said, "Hey, I'm not here to play with these guys on the playground. I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to make a boy band. I'm here to win races." Loved it. Loved what he had to say. Man, y'all can come tell me whatever you want to say. Come think about it. We'll have a conversation. I'll listen to what you got to say. But at the end of the day, Carson Hocevar said, "No, I'm here to win races. I'm not here to be your buddy. I'm not here to build a boy band." Literally his words. And so my one other take on NASCAR, y'all. I saw today that Bubba Wallace apparently said if he's not competitive, he will retire. And I asked if he actually said that or not. I don't know. I haven't been able to find out that information. But what I will say is either he'll be forced into retirement if he's not competitive, or he just won't get signed again to a Cup Series contract. In which case he could go race Xfinity or trucks. But that's why I found that conversation or his comment so interesting. Because he could go back down to the lower level, like Cole Custer. I mean, we see Matt Crafton, Justin Allgaier, Eric Almirola, AJ Allmendinger, Elliott Sadler. We've seen tons of guys go back from the bigger series to the lower series and be successful. But Bubba's just like, he's done. He'll just retire if he's not competitive. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this NASCAR series shakes out. But to me, like Carson Hocevar said, we're not here to build a boy band. We're here to win races. We are here to win. And that's exactly what I'm going to tell my son when he goes to his first practice. Mark, you have 3 games of Gamecock baseball. You will never have another first practice with your son. Exactly. Going to be dialed in. Going to be dialed in, locked in. Can't wait for it. P. Digits agrees. Pensman, they can't finish the race last lap. That's what I said, man. They got to figure out a way to be consistent. It was called one way in the duel at Daytona, the caution on the last lap. Then it was called one way in the truck in the Xfinity Series. And then the Cup Series, they raced back to the green flag at Daytona. All right. And then come back just yesterday, the Atlanta race, the caution's out again. And I get it. Safety is the number one priority. But I also need to see consistency. It was a great finish. The one from Blaney, Busch, and Suarez was fantastic. And NASCAR was set up for it again yesterday. Had it not been for the accident. Things got dicey at the end. Larson and Cindric. Larson blocked Cindric, or Cindric blocked Larson into the wall first, kind of. Almost. And then everybody, of course, noticed when Larson did the same thing to Cindric. And that's what I told a few people that was watching with me. I'm like, I was like, Cindric just did it to him last lap. And then Larson repaid the favor. And then Larson took the blame after the race. It was great. Pensman says that it was a horrible finish with the caution flag. I thought Hocevar was going to get it done. The run that he had, and Larson, I even told my wife and everybody else, I said, Larson looks really strong right now. Like he was driving up off the corner. He had acceleration, horsepower. I was believing in Larson there for a minute too. That last lap, Carson, when he pushed Cindric and shot in the, or Bell, and shot in the middle of him, I thought he was there. I thought it was going to be Carson that won that race. Brian's rewatched the video. I'm sure he had good takes on it. I'm sure he had good video on it. He said he rewatched it. They were coming off turn 4 and threw the caution. NASCAR lost its thunder when Danica Patrick retired. Hey, P Digits. I remember that comment you put on my Furman dance video. Eyes up here, buddy. Family show. Danica Patrick ain't got nothing to do with racing. I thought she was going to be better. I think it'd be good for NASCAR. if there was a woman that actually came in and was competitive. I think it would be good for him. Gamecock Chuck, he says he agrees. There's no eye candy in NASCAR. No, you just got to luck. As far as that goes, Chuck and P Digits, you kind of just got to get intertwined in the strategy. And I'll explain it like this. There was a new facility, I think it was Hendrick built. And if their car is in the air tunnel and you just go place your hand on the back of the car, it can read how much pressure you're putting on it. Whether you're just laying your hand there or pushing down on it. And so all of those little numbers, though, that they put into these little readers affects the speed and everything of the car. And so NASCAR, yeah, a lot of people want to say it's just turning left. And I like watching the wrecks. I'm an ambulance chaser, bro. If I see an ambulance go by, I want to go see. I want to go see what happened. Hopefully nobody's hurt too bad, but I want to go see. I'm a curious cat. Curiosity kills some cats. Just like how I'm very curious about this that P Digit says. Speaking of thunder, sounds like Tom Cruise is making another Days of Thunder. He is. Days of Thunder 2. You want me to tell you who's in it, P Digits? Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon and Tom Cruise are going to be in Days of Thunder 2. There's also a Happy Gilmore 2 with all of the professional golfers. Adam Sandler, John Rahm. Can't wait to see that one as well. P Digits, there's plenty of eye candy at the racetrack. Even Kyle Busch has a smoke show on his arm. Yep. He does. Samantha. Now, I'll tell you what else. Speaking of their kids, Brexton and Keelan Harvick, mark it right now, book stamp it, date it, time it. JD Wyatt says right now, as of 9:43, Brexton and Keelan Harvick will both be NASCAR drivers in the future. 100% without question. Period. End of discussion. Brexton Busch and Keelan Harvick will be in NASCAR. I don't know if they can save the sport, but we shall see. Pensman says, always be careful of being curious. Couldn't agree more. Fantastic advice. Carry an umbrella in the rain. Don't eat yellow snow. And don't pet strange dogs. Would also be some of my best advice on Southern Fried Sports. And so Chuck, P Digits, Brian, Pensman, I'll tell you what. We got like 5 minutes or so. Open question time. Y'all send in a question, I'll answer it. And while y'all do that, I do want to mention Shedeur, and can we get rid of opting out? Everything's opting out now. We're opting out of bowl games. We're opting out of competing at the NFL Combine. We'll just wait and do it at our pro day. Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Ashton Jeanty, all of them. The only thing they'll do at the NFL Combine is interview. So why even call it a combine anymore? Let's just call it NFL interviews. They don't have to go run 40s. They don't have to go do max bench, max squat. They can just go interview. And the NFL can ask them all of the ridiculous questions in the world that they want to ask. Right? They don't want to go and compete. So guess what? You can add combine to my dirty C words. Consistency, chemistry, culture, competition, creativity, coaching. All of them are dirty C words on Southern Fried Sports. Pensman says, don't eat black snow. Let's see what P did just say. He had advice too. Don't play with matches in a dry forest. Do you hear me, Los Angeles? Pensman, what are my thoughts on college football and the transfer portal? Man, I don't know. That's a hard one for me to answer all at one time, kind of. I'll put it to you from a fan perspective and then from a general perspective. I'm a Gamecock fan. Shane Beamer has made great work out of the portal. Spencer Rattler, I mean, you name it. They've built Demetrius Knight, Kyle Kennard, but he's also done it with recruiting. And so I think the transfer portal is a perfect place for people to get a new start. Do I think there should be limitations? Yes, absolutely. But now, not only in football, but we see it taking over in college basketball. Rick Pitino just said the other day, there's no point in me recruiting people out of high school. And if you look at the best teams in the country right now, the only one that has freshmen starting that team recruited is Duke with 3. There's a few others that have like 1. But for the most part, Auburn, Kansas, Kentucky, Arkansas, Florida, Tennessee, all of those teams, they have 1 or fewer high school freshmen starting on their roster. And so that's where the transfer portal can become bad. It can be terrible, but it can also be great. Gamecock Chuck, do I think there is value in having a spring game? Ooh, I'm glad you asked that, Chuck. We've seen Nebraska cancel their spring game. Texas cancel their spring game. No, I don't see much value in it. It's a glorified scrimmage. It's an awesome spectacle for the fans to go see. Give them a look at what their football team could look like. But most of it is so vanilla and plain. I would rather see South Carolina play Citadel for a spring game. Scrimmage, if you will. How about that? Even do it maybe before the season. Like I think the spring game is tradition. And I don't think it'll be much longer before you can make these guys play in it any longer. I don't think there's any way. I mean, we already find it hard enough to make these guys play in a bowl game. I think the spring game isn't far behind. And then you've got the tampering, putting players on display for other teams to possibly come in and steal, because we do have another transfer portal window coming up. I mean, what are we going to do, folks? P. Digit says, use the spring game to help the smaller in-state schools. Exactly. We've already seen Furman lose a baseball team, which their football team obviously is in no danger of going away. But when you look at school, Limestone, Presbyterian College, there might be a time where these super conferences get so big that some of these schools have no choice but to get rid of their football programs. And so that's all dangerous territory. And we'll talk about it all on Southern Fried Sports. So thank you to P Digits, Chuck, Pensman, Mark, Brian, Greenville Sports Media, W Energy Drinks, Hyundai of Anderson, Beef and Rib, Sideline Sports Network, and big thank you to me and to you. Y'all be blessed, not stressed. Y'all just be kind to one another, dang it. Let's have a week, shall we?